Hi guys, welcome back to Third and Long Podcast. This is episode 9, week 12. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving and with lots of leftovers and lots of football to watch yesterday. We are with our host, Gray Gitter, Sean Aileen, Henry Mitchell, Max Rosselli, and me, Jason Ginsberg. I will pass it on to Max Rosselli. We have tons of topics today. Let's get to it.
Hello, our new host Drazen over there. Well, there we go. We're going to start the topic this week with the Bengals. Joe Burrow just had a devastating ACL injury, and the fantasy stock of all the Bengals, I think, has drastically dropped, including from T. Higgins, AJ Green never had value, but T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Giovanni Bernard, everybody over there, I think the value goes way down. Anything to say on that?
Yeah, they're going to be starting probably Ryan Finley, so it's not looking too great for them. I mean, their team already wasn't looking that great, but I think their receiving core is really talented. But when you have a young quarterback, Ryan Finley's not that bad. I just don't know how he's going to be in the NFL, and I don't really have much confidence in like the overall skill of that team. They probably won't win many games the rest of the season, and if you have any of those, Mixon, AJ Green, whoever on your fantasy team, be ready to bench them any week that there's a hard matchup. If they have a good matchup, then maybe a flex option would be good. Or if you're just desperate like me, I have to start Tyler Boyd this week because of Golladay out again. So if you're desperate, then you can start one, but don't rely on them to carry your team.
I kind of disagree. I think that the wide receivers go down, but I think the running backs will increase because they're not going to want to put the ball in the air. Because they have arguably, I didn't have a lot of confidence in Gio going in the past couple of weeks, but we've seen him get it done. And once Mixon comes back, I have a feeling they're going to be 1-2 punching because I don't think they'll have enough confidence to put the ball in the air.
I know, but another thing, we had to look at this, like what I thought when Dak went down. I'm like, oh, Zeke's going to get 20, 30 carries a game. But then in more than half of his running attempts, they stack the box. He averages 2 yards per carry. And I know Giovanni Bernard, he's not a good runner. He's their pass catching guy. They had a guy in the game that's Samaje Perine. But with them playing to the run that much, I don't think there's anybody that can. If Zeke can't, I don't know who can. Especially with that Cowboys O-line being that good and the Bengals O-line being extremely bad. Another thing with Mixon, I think Mixon, hot take, I don't think he's ever coming back this season. I think there's no reason. They have a good core with Burrow and him. There's no reason to risk Mixon, who is extremely talented, improve that O-line, get better pieces. And there's no reason to risk Mixon getting hurt again. Same with McCaffrey and stuff.
I agree with you, Max, but I just wanted to say I think this guy named Brandon Allen is going to get the start for the Bengals this week, not Ryan Finley. But I could be wrong. I'm not completely sure. And, yeah, Joe Mixon, I would look to trade him if you can for pretty much any asset. I agree with what Max said. I could definitely see him not coming back this year. So.
And obviously, with Joe Burrow being out for the season, this only leaves an open door for Justin Herbert to be Rookie of the Year. I love my boy Justin Herbert. But yeah,
hey, we already predicted that. I'm almost 100% sure he's going to win Rookie of the Year. That man has been amazing.
He has. Well, we're gonna move on from Justin Herbert. Jason has a hot take, but we're gonna move on to some next gen Madden ratings. Woo. So, Henry, you could screen share the Madden ratings right now, and we will just go overrated, underrated, or just some hot takes on them. And keep in mind, guys that are injured, their ratings do not change until they come back. So don't get pressed if you see Stephon Gilmore with the 99 overall like he is. Okay? But, yeah, moving down the line, we got our 699s. We got Aaron Donald, McCaffrey, Hopkins, Mahomes, Wilson, and Gilmore. Anything to say on that personally?
I think they all deserve it. I know Wilson has been kind of disappointing the past couple weeks, but, he's still an elite quarterback no matter what. And I think even though Gilmore, he had COVID, whatever, I think he's still an amazing corner. I could see him a little lower in the 90s, but I think I mean, I think he's definitely proven that he's a 99 overall worthy player. And then I'd say McCaffrey being the only 99 running back. Honestly, I would probably put Dalvin Cook in there. I think he's like a 96. I think this season, I mean, we've seen McCaffrey injured, so I would say he's still a 99 with his skill is definitely still a 99. But I would say that I would definitely add some more players in there like Dalvin Cook for sure.
Well, with Madden, guys, they have rating adjusters every week. So by every week, a player will either go down or go up. And recently, I think Dalvin started the season as a 90 overall. He's now a 96 because of all that success he's had. And with Michael Thomas started the season as a 99 overall, and now he's a 97 due to the recent struggles he's had. So, like, Michael Thomas, like, he was good in the season, no doubt. But, like, now, I mean, he's been injured, which I have to give him credit. Like, I have to give him slack there. But, like, still, he hasn't been producing to the way he was last year.
I have a question for you guys. So, do you think – so, obviously, we see Aaron Donald at the top. Do you guys think he's the best player in the league? Because I do. I think he's the best player in the league.
Defensive, yeah. I really do. He's just – he creates such a problem for O-lines. I mean, you see him getting double, even triple team every game, which gives opportunities for the rest of the Rams defensive line. And I think without him on that Rams defense, it's not even anywhere close to as good. Even with Jalen Ramsey at corner. But he's just such a big aspect, and everybody has to game plan for him going into each week.
It's hard when Henry asks that question more of like who's the best player in football.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody thinks Mahomes. And I mean, I don't have an answer, honestly. They're hard to compare here.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say because of his dominance, I would say Aaron Donald, and because he's been probably the most consistent player over the last since he's been drafted. I think he's incredibly strong. He's incredibly fast for his size. I think he's just the most dominant player. So I would say I think he's the best player in the league. I mean, it depends on how you look at it with like offense versus defense, but I think just his overall game is just so incredibly good. It's kind of hard to beat.
Well, it's really hard to compare those like quarterback and somebody on the D line. And I mean, that goes for any position. Like, you're not going to be able to really compare linebackers and corners or O-line and receivers. Like, it's so hard to figure out the best player in the league.
Yeah.
Or like who has the most impact on teams. But yeah, I think Mahomes and Aaron Donald are definitely top of the top.
Yeah, my top three would probably be Donald, Mahomes, and Hopkins.
Personally. Yeah. Henry, I'm going to ask you to filter it to only QBs now, if you can.
Yeah, sure.
Scroll up, just press filter, and then position, and then scroll down to QB, and press done. But then press done. It's not, and then apply. Okay.
All right.
So this is going to be QBs now, and I have to tell you guys, there's tons of snubs in here. Herbert, I think it's a 79, correct, or 77?
Oh, he's
and then
low.
Kyler's an 82, which I think.
Madden's not very good when it comes to rating.
And then
I mean, I don't think Brady
Matt
should
Ryan's
be Brady.
85.
Brady should not be the fourth ranked. Like, he's good and all, but he's not a 93.
I think you have to put him as that, though.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't see him going any lower because he's
Yeah,
still.
that's
I
a
mean,
good point.
he's like if you put Jameis Winston in place of Tom Brady, I don't think the Bucs are going to be as good as they are. Like Tom Brady's he's still so good. Like he's still a very above average quarterback in this league, I think. And I mean, he really is the greatest of all time. And I think he's having a better season than Lamar Jackson. He's having a better season than Drew Brees. Like I think he's rightfully where he should be in Madden rankings.
Yeah, I mean, he started the season as a 96, I think, if I'm correct. So, I mean, he's going down, but I think there's just a respect to him being that good. You can't really put him any lower. And then Lamar here, too, who doesn't know how to pass the ball anymore, is now down to a 90. When he started the season, it was like a 93. And really, only thing keeping him up is speed, guys. That's the only thing keeping him up. His speed in comparison to anybody else is like nowhere near like Michael Vick's speed. That's how much it is. But yeah. Anything to say on that, guys?
You want to go to the next page
Okay.
of quarterback so we can look at the
Yeah,
rookies?
we can keep going. So, I mean, if we just keep scrolling down, we see like Josh Allen's an 83. And as much as I don't like Josh Allen, he's not an 83. He's way better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like Max said, Matt Ryan, I think he should be well, actually, I don't know. I would say about there. Kyler,
I think Kyler should be like an 87.
I think out of anyone, Kirk Cousins is like very accurate.
Yes.
yeah, I would say yeah.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins is very
Yeah.
like that. Like he is an 81.
I thought you
Like,
said
that-
accurate in throwing. I was just like, what?
Oh,
Okay,
no,
here's
I just
Oh wow. Okay, here's our second page. So we
That's
got
disrespectful.
Burrow.
So here,
That's
okay.
disrespectful.
I'm gonna hear the Carolina Panther bias
Okay,
here on
okay.
our podcast, but I understand you guys are mad about him being a 78 overall, despite all you being Carolina Panther fans. Herbert definitely underrated. Burrow
Most definitely.
underrated, and then look, Tua 74. That's
Okay.
interesting.
This is just
Tua should be a
like
74.
disrespectful towards Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, scroll down and I see Jalen Hurts here. So I had another topic this week, and I saw it in the news. And it was they were starting some movement to try to get Wentz to get benched. And I'm thinking, I mean, you're in the NFC East. I think you keep Wentz. I understand he's like one of the having a really bad season. And I understand Hurts is there and they drafted him relatively high. But like I think that division, you can be so competitive when you have 3 wins.
But I think you have to keep Carson Wentz here. Just hope that he starts playing better. He needs to take care of the ball more, like when it comes to fumbling and interceptions. Obviously, he has like 18 turnovers this season, which is more than a lot of teams have. But yeah, I can't see a world where they'll start Jalen Hurts. But like I said, I think they should incorporate him into the game plan more, just not start him.
See, I was gonna say if you're gonna start Jalen Hurts, it's got to be sooner than later, just because, like you said, they only have the entire division has 3 and 4 wins, so everything's wide open. But at the same time, everyone has 3 and 4 wins, and I don't really see a team other than maybe the Giants and maybe Washington pulling out to a lead at some point. But at this point in the season, it really can't be that big of a lead. So it would be like 1 to 2 games, and then maybe Carson Wentz isn't producing still. Maybe you give Jalen Hurts a shot, like last ditch opportunity, and maybe he goes crazy. You never know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm going to move on to a different quarterback this week and ditch the Madden ratings. I'm going to talk about Taysom Hill a little bit. I want to see your guys' opinion on him and how he's a quarterback and I think I'm going to talk about his fantasy production a little bit here. Of course, he was tight end eligible in ESPN leagues, but I think people that take a massive hit, not a massive hit, is Kamara. A little bit of a hit there because he's taken rushes away. I think Latavius Murray is boosted a little bit because they run the read option more, leading them more up the middle rushes. And Michael Thomas finally had a 100-plus yard game, which is really pleasant for the fantasy managers who drafted him in like the top 10. So anything to say on Taysom Hill?
Well, I agree with Kamara, not necessarily because he's getting less rushes, but we normally see him go crazy out of the backfield. And with Taysom Hill there's no need to throw out of the backfield where he can just take off and run like a tight end. Like Kamara, when Drew Brees is in, Drew Brees isn't the fastest or most agile quarterback, so most of the time he won't be hesitant to dump it off to a tight end or Kamara. But with Taysom Hill there, I see Kamara going way down.
When it gets to the actual quarterback play, I don't think Taysom Hill should be the starter there. I don't think he's the future of the franchise after Drew Brees is gone, whereas I think Jameis Winston has at least somewhat of a shot. I was surprised to see them play Taysom Hill last week, as I'm sure a lot of people, including people inside the Saints facility, I really wanted to see Jameis play, and I think he has a better shot at being the new face of the franchise over Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for Taysom, but I wanted to see Jameis Winston make a comeback at it and getting a second shot at it when going from you could say bad season. I don't really know. It's your opinion. I think it was a horrible season. But, like, that man is very talented, and everybody knows it. And I thought, like, oh, they have a top backup. They should play him. But, like, then they put Taysom Hill in. And I'm like, you really, Sean Payton? You're going to put, like, a meme at your quarterback? Like, I don't know what to do there. So, yeah, I don't really know what's going on over there. I know the players are pretty mad at the coaching decision, I've heard. And they really wanted Jameis to be there instead of Taysom. But, I mean, if they can win games, they can win games. So, I don't really know.
Yeah, I feel like one of the reasons that they decided to put in Taysom is just because, like, he's already had a lot of experience playing on the Saints, whereas Jameis, I mean, we haven't really seen him at all. So I would just say because he's already been alongside Drew Brees, I mean, they put him in like a lot of plays. And I mean, sure, he doesn't throw the ball as much as, he could, but we've seen him throw. We obviously know he can run. And I think just based on team experience is maybe why they put in Taysom, or just because they wanted to, like, see him have a really good game. That, I mean, he's had solid games, but they just wanted to maybe, like, see him, explode a little bit. And I mean, I know Jameis is a pretty solid quarterback, but I think Sean Payton just wanted to, like, see what he could do to maybe prove himself, because if he can keep this up, I mean, sure, he could probably be their starter. It just all depends on how each of them play. And I just think they need to give Jameis at least a shot, because they can't just continue their season on with Taysom starting the rest of the year until Breeze comes back, because Jameis, I mean, he's just better. So I would say just putting in Jameis would be a good idea, even though Taysom seemed to improve himself especially with his rushing, but he also did have over 250 passing yards. So
But, yeah, with fantasy, though, I'm looking at Taysom more as a top 5 upside play with tons of downfall, because, of course, he has the rushing aspect, but if that gets shut down, he had no passing touchdowns. So I'm looking at him like, oh, he could definitely go off, but I'm not locking him into lineups as an every week starter while he's the starter. If you guys agree with me there, because I think of him as kind of like a Lamar, kind of, but Lamar gets. I feel like I'm more confident with Lamar as a passer than Taysom Hill is a little bit, more of just because he's completed more than 10 passes up until that game. But, like, I think Taysom is a ton upside play. So let's say you're down in a game, I totally play him because he's a possibility of going off. But if you need safe consistency, I would not go with Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I think I kind of maybe compare Hill to Cam Newton, maybe because, like, the only upside of Cam Newton, like, he can throw, and, like, we've seen him get, like, 1 touchdown, like, last week and then the past week. But the only upside of Cam Newton is that he gets rushing touchdowns, and that's where Taysom Hill got all of his points. So I mean, if I had Taysom Hill, I would just not start him, being honest, unless he's playing the Jets, which I don't know if he does. But
do y'all see any, like, future attitude problems with wide receivers if Taysom keeps starting? Because we saw that Taysom didn't get past a touchdown on arguably a bottom 5 defense in the league with Atlanta. So do y'all see, like, because I feel like Michael Thomas is kind of a diva in the locker room. I feel like if he's not getting his normal touches that he's used to, he's going to throw a fit. And, I mean, we saw Taysom Hill didn't throw a single touchdown. So do y'all think that could result in some wide receivers or tight ends, I guess, or Kamara for that matter, having some problems in the locker room?
Well, I think Sean Payton is more involved into a run-heavy script in the red zone. They can run tons of options. I know with the Texans, they run tons of RPOs, run pass options. I'm thinking more of that will happen because a defense it's going to be really hard to play off Taysom Hill. Oh, where he's running? Oh, wait, he just threw the ball. So I think it's going to be a headache for tons of people with Saints players. And I don't really know what to tell you, but just hope that either Jameis comes back in or – I mean, Michael Thomas did not have a bad game. He just didn't get in the end zone. So I'm just saying – Kamara definitely down in production, but Thomas, I think he could reignite himself a little bit, but Jameis would have been way better for all of them, I think, in fantasy-wise.
Gray, to answer your question, I don't think there's going to be issues, at least not yet, because like Henry and Max have said, or maybe just Max, I don't know. Michael Thomas had a good game last week. He had over 100 yards. He had a good amount of receptions. Like, he's getting the ball. He wants the ball. And so if he's open, I mean, it's not like they're not going to pass it to him. I don't, at least, unless Taysom Hill starts playing worse, I don't think there's going to be any locker room issues or anything like that. And Michael Thomas is a diva, but if he is getting his yards and touches like he is doing, then I think everything's going to be okay. in the
And
locker
also,
room.
they got the dub last week. So, like, I mean, unless, like, what Sean said, like, I don't see any problems.
And their defense looked incredible. I think it was 8 sacks, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, yeah.
2
Okay.
interceptions against Matt
But
Ryan.
y'all, we also have to take into account that they played Atlanta.
Yeah.
I mean, Atlanta's not
Atlanta,
a
I
very good
think
team.
they're underrated. I think they're
I think they're underrated, but I think they have the pieces and just haven't put them together yet. Because their offense is pretty good. They
The
just
offense is
were
very
having trouble. They were just having trouble getting on the scoreboard, and their defense just cannot stop anyone. And it's just like, I don't know what to expect from the Saints this year. I have no clue.
I mean, I had the Saints defense in our league, and I was actually very questionable to put in the Saints defense because they're going against the Falcons offense, which can be pretty explosive. But it was very surprising, and I think I'm going to start the Saints throughout the whole year because I think they've been proving themselves for the past 3 weeks.
So moving on, I know you guys play fantasy football, and we're gonna move in the playoff season. There's tons of people that can help you win your league. I know you guys are all striving for that ship. So I know we all too, and I know almost all of us are gonna make the playoffs. Hint, hint. Sean, but
Hey, I have a solid chance, man.
yeah, you do. You're doing well, Sean. Doing very well. And Gray's team just went off because it's Thursday. It's Friday, guys. And Gray had Gibson. That's all I have to say here. But yeah.
I'm going to the chip.
That's
So
just not
we're going to start off with players to buy during the playoffs. Players with great schedules. I'm not saying buy low. I'm just saying buy because these guys have extraordinary schedules and they can help you win your championship. So I'm going to start off with my buy is Derrick Henry. And you're not going to buy him low. I understand because you can't buy him low. But 14 through 16, Jaguars, Lions, Packers. That is the greatest 3-game stretch I've seen. Especially with someone that caliber, he could totally 20-plus points per game. So if you could somehow get him, I understand you might be paying a lot, but if you're willing to give up people with bad schedules that have tons of talent, I'd go for it. And guys, I'd have him over. I have him over Kamara. I have him over Dalvin Cook. Just because Dalvin Cook's schedule. But yeah, I'm probably biased here. But anything to say on that?
I think it's gonna be next to impossible to get Derrick Henry. Like, you're
most
gonna have to
definitely.
give up legitimately so much in order to get that man on your team.
It's way too late in the season for it. Like, no
Yeah.
owners are gonna want to give him away unless you have the best trade to ever go through fantasy football. They're not gonna want it.
Also, I know we pushed back the trade deadline in our league to like the beginning week of playoffs. So I don't know when other teams' deadlines or when other leagues' deadlines are.
Like right now.
So, okay. So try to trade for Derrick Henry, obviously, but you won't be able to. So I think another great option is Miles Sanders. All right. You might be able to buy him for lower too, because he's coming off a pretty bad week. You know, he's in a pretty bad offense, pretty bad team. You know, but he's a very talented player, and I think he's the first option and the best option on the Eagles. And he has a relatively easy schedule. It's moderate. I think he plays like Arizona and a couple other teams that don't have the best run defense. And he's also a pass catching back. So in PPR, I like him a lot. And standard too, I still want him on my team. And you're obviously not going to have to give up as much as you would for Derrick Henry, and you're not going to get the same production, of course, but I think he'll finish off the season as a top 10 running back.
My buy, I have DK Metcalf as my buy because weeks 14 through 16, he has the Jets, Washington, and LA. LA is the only one that I don't love, but the Jets and Washington, I'm almost positive he could go crazy because we saw Amari Cooper absolutely kill Logan Ryan or Ronald Darby last night. But LA, I'm not too sure about that one, but I think he can get you to a chip.
All right, my buy is Keenan Allen. So the rest of his weeks they're all pretty easy. So he has Buffalo, New England, Atlanta, Las Vegas, Denver, and Kansas City. And I think he's definitely recently he's been proving himself. After week 7, almost all of his games were over 10 points. Week 10 he had 9.9, but it's basically 10. So I would say try to trade for Keenan Allen because he's been amazing this season. He's definitely proved that he's an elite receiver. So yeah, I would try to go for Keenan Allen. I would say try to give whoever you're trading to, I would say give him a solid receiver. Honestly, I would trade Terry McLaurin and maybe a RB2 for him. Yes.
Absolutely not.
But yeah,
absolutely not.
I have I have another
Yes.
under the radar buy. I have these two guys. I like Jamal Williams and Latavius Murray. In the event of their number one getting injured, they are top end backups. Top end. And if they're injured, they are top end RB1s. And I like them. Really easy schedule for both. I know Jamal Williams, he has an extremely easy schedule if you ever look at that. But those players are the types that win championships. Guys that are under the radar, you could buy at an extremely low price. And just try to get them and don't hope for an injury. But let's say you have Kamara, I'd try to get Latavius Murray. Let's say you have Aaron Jones, I'd try to get Jamal Williams. Vice versa. But that could help you a ton, especially with that insurance policy on both of them. And then we're going to move on to sells now.
Wait,
Yeah. Drazen didn't give his
Drazen,
buy.
what do you got to say for the buys?
all right. So first off, I'm not I would actually not try to trade Keenan Allen because you can try and challenge me on this, but other than Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, Keenan Allen and Herbert probably have the best duo in the NFL. You can try and challenge me.
I respectfully disagree with that. They haven't had enough playing. They haven't had enough playing time together, and I think, off the top of my head, I can't think of any, but there's definitely a lot more.
Russell.
Russell, DK, or Tyler Lockett are
Tyler
better.
Hopkins.
Michael Thomas.
Honestly.
Anyways. So
Drazen, stop being so biased. I'm just kidding. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
well,
Just a
according
Herbert
to-
stand.
Never mind. Okay, whatever.
Search the fan
So,
pages, guys, on Instagram. Okay.
So obviously, if Zeke didn't have that game yesterday, I probably would have said to that he's the sell high because last week he got 17 points. Yesterday he got 1.9. So obviously, I don't think anyone wants him now. But probably I'm gonna say Amari Cooper for my sell high. I don't really know why, but he's just very inconsistent. His schedule. I don't know, but yeah, I would say that he'd be my sell high probably.
Wait, what is it with y'all on coming for my wide receivers?
Hey, I
I'm
never
just-
came for Terry McLaurin. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. Terry McLaurin, top end wide receiver. He's only had 2 games under 70 yards this year.
But he's had a lot of games where he just had he's had a lot of 70+ yard games, but he hasn't really scored that much. And in terms of fantasy, you want to see your players score.
That's still a consistent 7 to 9 points.
Yeah.
And Amari Cooper has had 2 games under 7 points this year. 2 games. But they were terrible games. They were 2.1 and 0.5. So
And he's just naturally inconsistent too. Even with Dak last year, he would give you either 30 points or 2 points. No in between.
no. This man's raw. You should keep him on your team. That
Well,
man's
my
disgusting.
sell, I never come at Gray again. My sell is Antonio Gibson. And I understand.
No.
He just went off. That's probably one of the best games of the season behind Dalvin Cook games and one of Derrick Henry games. Okay. He faces Dallas, worst rush defense in the league. And he's got
Who's not
Pittsburgh,
going to
San
go off
Fran.
against them, though?
Pittsburgh, San Fran, Seattle. He's got Carolina. But then he's got Philadelphia. Okay?
That's pretty hard.
That is
we
extremely
don't have to
hard.
worry
You
about
could get so
Philadelphia.
much. He's at the peak of his value right now. So if you could figure out how to swing, I don't know, Josh Jacobs, Kamara, someone like that. Like,
What? For
You're
Gibson?
capping. You're capping.
or Nick
You're
Chubb or
capping.
Aaron Jones. I would totally take that.
Absolutely not.
You wouldn't do it Antonio Gibson for
Okay.
Nick Chubb. Gibson for Chubb right now. What would you do?
But why would you give away, like, let's say Kamara to get him? I mean, sure, he had a really great game, but like,
Well, you'd have to give another really good asset.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Yeah. I mean,
Give-
Kamara's
I
top 10,
think-
but you wouldn't do Gibson for Chubb right now. Tell me.
I think Gibson is built different.
Yeah, I'd rather
I
have
think.
Chubb
I
on my
do.
than Gibson.
Maybe.
Look.
I don't know. Because, like, Chubb splits carries with Kareem. And then, like, I don't know. Gibson looks crazy. Gibson was the first rookie since Randy Moss to score 3 touchdowns on Thanksgiving.
Okay, here's another thing.
Oh,
The football
Exactly.
team,
Okay.
the football team will always probably be in a negative game script. And when they're in a negative game script, they don't put Gibson in. They put J.D. McKissick in, who is the pass catching back there. They're losing in probably half the games they play. They're going to put in the pass catching back, not Gibson. But while they're ahead, I understand Gibson. But when are they going to be ahead? They're facing some good teams, right?
I mean,
I wouldn't consider San Fran a good team. But I could see how you could argue Seattle and
Well,
Pittsburgh.
okay, so if I own Antonio Gibson, I'm holding on to him. I don't see a reason to trade him unless you can get obviously higher value, because in standard the last 3 weeks he's gotten over 15 points, which is very good for standard.
Yeah, it's
And
raw.
this Thursday he got 31 points in standard. Like I'm riding this high until he's not scoring that much anymore. Like you can't trade a man who's gotten 16, 18, and 31 the past 3 weeks. But I guess we can move on to my sell high, which, if possible, is Joe Mixon. I have that man on my team, and it's very hard to sell him. But I think
As I'd imagine.
if you're playing fantasy with some stupid people, some people who don't know fantasy that well, you can trade away Joe Mixon, and you can get an RB2 in return, maybe a good flex play, a good receiver. I think there's options. In our league, I haven't been able to trade him yet. Still looking, still hoping. But he could be out for the rest of the season. He'll be out at least 2 more games. So I think that you trade him for sure. And then I don't think
think
if he does return that. With Joe Burrow gone, I don't think that he'll do much anyways. So
My sell high is James Robinson. You love to see it because Christian has James Robinson. But so his playoff schedule is not very fortunate. He has Tennessee, Baltimore, and Chicago. I mean, Chicago is fine, but Tennessee and Baltimore, he's not going to be producing that well unless he gets a 1-yard passing touchdown.
which
But
he
other than that, I mean,
Oh, sorry, not
Yeah.
not Tennessee, Baltimore. It's Baltimore, Chicago, Indiana.
14 through 16, it's Tennessee.
15, 16,
Oh,
17.
never mind. That's my bad. That's my bad.
But yeah,
But to be fair, he hasn't scored a touchdown in the last 2 weeks.
and our
So
friend Christian is extremely high on James Robinson.
hopefully we see a decrease because I think he's not going to do very well.
all right. My sell high is Todd Gurley, running back for the Falcons. I think that Falcons offense is sort of on a decline. Like last week, not like a single player on their team really did anything. Like Matt Ryan, even as a quarterback, had like in fantasy, I have him in fantasy as my backup. He had like 5 points. So I think and he has a pretty difficult schedule the rest of the season. Not even just the playoffs, just the rest of the season in general. So I would try to sell Todd Gurley. I think like people might not realize his schedule is hard and try to, give you like a really solid running back. But I think you should definitely try to get rid of him just because I don't really trust the rest of his I don't really trust his schedule. I mean, he had like 29 yards this past week, and that's bad. So I would just say get rid of him. He's good, but I don't see him doing much the rest of the season. So yeah. This is going to conclude episode 9 of the Third and Long podcast. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode and come back next week for episode 10. Bye.
Have a good one.